From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Adeshawa Josh. Our top stories tonight. Nigerian Senate begins a two-day public hearing on tax reform bills. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, sworn in as governor of Ondo State, pays tribute to former boss Rotimi Akeredolu. And Trump administration places thousands of USAID staff on leave as it fires 1,600 employees. In business, Nigeria Customs Service suspends import declaration following cancellation of 4% free on board charge.
And in sports, Africa's finest table tennis players are battle ready as the 2025 ITTF Cup begins in Tunis on Tuesday. Details in a moment.
Welcome, everybody. Tonight begins right now. We begin tonight in Abuja, where the Senate has commenced a two-day public hearing on the proposed tax reform bills. The opening session brought together leaders from the nation's economic and financial sectors, including Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, the Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zak Adedeji, the Group CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, Mele Kyari. Senate President Godswill Akpabio is also calling on Nigerians to participate in the public debate. News Central's National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, reports.
Is improving revenue generation, economic stability, and national development. He urged Nigerians to read the full transcript of the bill to enable them make informed inputs and conclusions on its objectives.
At the end of what we are doing, it will be easy for you to pay tax whether you like it or not. And also, we will then oversight government to make sure that whatever revenue comes into the purse of government is well utilized.
We will be guided in our deliberations, in our processes, with the tenet that integrity and fairness will be part of our guiding principles here.
Following his remarks, different government ministries, departments, and agencies provided insights into how the reforms could enhance Nigeria's fiscal policies and drive economic growth.
As the economy grows, so we must we must modernize our tax laws, enhance compliance, broaden the tax base, and create an environment that fosters investment and job creation.
I believe that this will enhance stability in the Nigerian economy. However, one area that we feel that this committee will address is the area of VAT distribution to subnationals.
Stakeholders from non-governmental organizations, the private sector, civil society organizations, among others, also contributed to the hearing. Some raised concerns about the potential impact of the tax bills on businesses and individuals.
Most Nigerians will not be required to pay personal income tax. But then there's a proposal to increase the VAT across time. And so you see that it's like giving with one hand and taking away with another hand, because these Nigerians who have been exempted from tax will still need to buy things that has tax imputed on them and will increase the cost of products and so on.
As deliberations continue, the focus remains on whether these reforms will ease tax burdens or impose further financial strains on businesses and individuals. Now, while the hearing continues on Tuesday, Nigerians are watching closely to see how these policies will shape the country's economic future. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Professor Sherifdeen Teller is a professor of economics at Babcock University. He joins me now from Ogun State. Thank you so much for joining us for more on this story. I want to quickly go straight to what critics are saying about this tax reform bill. They're saying, why don't we start with the 1%, 2% of this country, the economy, those who earn so much, let them pay for like a year and see where that takes us. Do you agree with them?
Well, I actually, when you start talking about tax reform, I've always been of opinion that we should be talking of fiscal policy reform, because tax is just one part of the fiscal process, and that is the revenue aspect, not of the expenditure. So it should have been more comprehensive, as it were. But if you are now looking at it from that revenue aspect, and we are thinking in terms of tax only, I believe that saying that large number of people, because of the structure of the tax, large number of Nigerians should not be paying tax because the point at which you start paying tax is very high. And we know that the majority of Nigerians fall below that particular line. Many of the states are going to suffer for that because the states really, which are mainly civil service states, and that is that's the way you look at it, except for states that are industrialized like Lagos, like Ogunao, and some other few ones. Many of the states may have problems. But more importantly, I think that we should have called it fiscal. We should have called it fiscal rather than tax. So that when we call it fiscal reform, fiscal policy reform bill, it should have taken care of both the expenditure as well as the revenue. In which case, the reform will be talking of even legislators themselves fixing their own, their own emoluments. It should not be the case since we have a body that is responsible for that. So we should also be talking of government just via money from one sector to another without authorization from the legislature. Because
Professor Tara, let me quickly come in here. You did say that many of the states will suffer. And this is a statement that the Borno State governor agrees with. He thinks that his state may not be able to handle this whole proposed tax reform bill by the time it is passed. Why do you think the states would suffer, and which of these states are you referring to?
It's going to be majority of the states because they are civil service states. And the point at which you start paying tax is very high. The level, when we are talking of the grade level and all those things, you find that the level is very, very low. So most of those states, particularly states in the north, even in everywhere except Lagos, like I said, which has industries, and Ogun State, maybe federal capital, they may be able to generate some revenue. So they're going to be more dependent on federal government, and that is not good enough. So people should be able to pay tax at lower level so that state can generate some revenue, or else the way it is, many states will not be able to generate revenue. So they become more dependent on federal government. Except, of course, that will awaken their interest in making sure that they start looking at the resources that they have and start working on those resources to be able to generate their revenue from there.
Right.
So
Professor
most of
Teller,
it's very high. Yeah.
I just want to challenge you on one other statement just before we move on. You did say that many of these states are civil service state, yes, and that many of them would not be able to pay these taxes. But I'm looking at the tax reform bill here that says that people who earn 800K and I guess below will pay no taxes at all. But perhaps the issue here is that there is a proposal to increase the VAT, the value-added tax, which is just like you give it and then you take it back.
We can look at it from that angle, but the fact is that we have, many of the people buy from local markets. I don't know how we are going to capture that. It's only people who buy in the shopping mall, and that, of course, they may be able to pay through, if it is from the sources, that is from the wholesale side, they may be able to pay tax from that. But notwithstanding, there has always been this problem with the value-added tax that we are talking about.
Right.
Before you know it, you start arguing that, it should not be increased more than 7.5%, it should be 10%, and then there will be, they will start talking about in another 3-4 years, they start talking of, it should be raised to 15%, so that most states can get revenue from that. So the VAT is low, and because the VAT is low, because we also have most market, people go to market, in the local market where you don't see or you buy local things rather than manufactured goods.
Professor Tara, let's just wrap it here with this question quickly. You have said that fiscal policy reform is what we should be looking at instead of just tax reforms. Now that the floor is open to Nigerians to also have their say on what should be changed or should be hopefully adjusted in this tax reform bill, what should it be? What should Nigerians be telling our lawmakers to do with this bill? Obviously, it looks like it's going to pass, but what should it change?
Yeah, what they should, the lawmakers should go back to look at it and say.
It's not just the lawmakers, by the way. It's everyday people like you and I too,
Yes. We should be thinking of, as I said, not only the revenue side, but also the expenditure side, so that we also capture what the government is doing with our money. So the law should encompass that, not just about the tax, which is a revenue side. We must also be talking about how government spend the money. The issue of transparency and accountability should be part of the bill that we are considering.
That's right.
We don't come back again and say, okay, we now want to look at the other side of it. So instead of talking of a tax reform bill, which is revenue, we should be talking of fiscal policy reform bill. So that captures both expenditure and the revenue side.
Thanks, Professor Teller. And that captures a lot of thoughts from Nigerians because they want to know what their money will be used for and how it will be spent. Thank you so much, Professor Teller, a professor of economics at Babcock University. He joined us from Ogun State. Thank you. Nigerian Senate President Zuriel Oduwole is facing intense backlash for his alleged mistreatment of Senator Natasha Akpoti, who was reportedly ordered to leave the Senate chambers last week. The incident has sparked widespread outrage, with advocates for gender inclusion, including Voices for Inclusion and Equity for Women, condemning Akpabio's action. VIEW, as the acronym of the organization, is demanding accountability from the Senate President, emphasizing the importance of treating female lawmakers with dignity and respect. The organization is pushing for systemic change to eradicate gender-based intimidation in the Senate and foster a culture that welcomes and supports women's voices in governance. The incident has also drawn criticism from over 300 women groups who are calling for an unconditional apology from Senator Akpabio. They argue this action reflects a deeper systemic issue of gender discrimination and verbal harassment in Nigeria's political institutions. Now let's move on to other stories now. Chairman and CEO of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, has congratulated 22-year-old Zuriel Oduwole on her remarkable nomination for the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. Dabiri-Erewa says the nomination is no surprise given Zuriel's tireless advocacy for girls' education over the past 12 years, spanning across Africa, the Caribbean, and her peace-mediating efforts in South America and the Middle East. Dabiri-Erewa is optimistic Zuriel will win the coveted prize, while also urging youths to emulate the youngsters' impactful spirit and shun any acts that could denigrate Nigeria's image. Also in the nomination category is Zuriel, our professor of clinical education, engineering from the University of Southern California, an emeritus professor of social science from the University of Missouri, and a Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. I'm Adeshawa Josh. A reminder of our top stories. Nigerian Senate begins a 2-day public hearing on tax reform bills. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, sworn in as governor of Ondo State, pays tribute to former boss Rotimi Akeredolu. Trump administration places thousands of USAID staff on leave as it fires 1,600 employees. 5 days after an explosion rocked Cawthon Channel 1 flow station situated between Bonny and Egema local government areas in Rivers State, the cause of the explosion is yet to be made public. The NNPCL, in a statement, had explained that there were no casualties recorded, but residents of Ilomatoro, a community in close proximity to the flow station, are saying otherwise. A stakeholder in the community and the immediate past surveillance chairman in charge of Cawthon Channel 1 and its environs, Pauline Daniel, is worried that the crude spill is now flowing to the 22 settlements of Ilomatoro and its communities.
At Cawthon Channel Flow Station 1, where a massive fire explosion was recorded some 5 days ago. We spoke to some community leaders earlier, and they've complained that the oil have been flowing to their fishing settlements and that they are now devastated. The cause of the fire is yet unknown, as there has been no investigation made public concerning it. Over there are the vessels. This entire facility is a cotton channel 1, which is the biggest field in the OML 18 in Nigeria, right here on Bonny Island. This is Ilomatoro in Bonny local government area of Rivers State. Now, 5 minutes away from here is where we have the Cotton Channel 1. Since this fire explosion, there has been no known means or measures taken to contain the crude oil from the barges that were involved in the fire. In Bonny, for News Central, Biola Festus.
The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has given a 7-day ultimatum to the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to offset debts estimated at 100 billion naira being owed oil marketers or face a withdrawal of petroleum tankers from loading and discharging at the various depots across the country. This was as they issued a communique in Abuja expressing their displeasure at the inability of the NMDPRA to fulfill its promise of paying the debts over 1 year after they were made. Amadun Uyi has more.
Members of IPMAN at this press conference say it has become necessary to update the public on the lingering issue between the independent marketers and the management of the NNDPRA.
We are extremely frustrated that 1 year after our last demand as a forum, requesting the payment of over 100 billion owed our members in bridging and NTA claims by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
They also raised another issue relating to the collection of commission by the authority from petroleum marketers.
Another worrisome development is the NMDPRA is imposition of several abnormal levies on our members. Chief amongst them is the imposition of 5% commission accruable to them at the sales of any petrol station outlet in Nigeria. Tell me, when has the NFDPRA turned herself into real exchange agent, collecting a commission on sales of retail petrol outlets?
Aggrieved members say they have waited long enough and issued an ultimatum to the management of the authority.
Within 7 days, 7 working days, we are going for strike, and we are going to lock all our stations and withdraw all of our tanks from loading and also discharging.
They also called President Bola Tinubu to intervene in the matter so as to avoid another strike by their members. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
A multilateral association comprising of the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, and the Association of Maritime Truck Owners have issued a 3-day ultimatum to shut down services on port access roads and embark on an industrial action throughout Lagos State. The group is protesting the exploitation and life-threatening injuries sustained by its members. News Central's maritime correspondent was at a press conference where the association issued the ultimatum and filed their support.
The Nigerian maritime workers and haulage operators are collaborating in a tripartite association comprising the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, NATO, Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, MAUM, and the Association of Maritime Truck Owners, AMATO, to promote ease of doing business and protect the interest of maritime workers. In a press release issued in Lagos, they brought to the fore the increasingly provocative and exploitative activities of the committee set up by the Lagos State government to resolve the problem of traffic gridlock. They say the committee has derailed and is indulging in indiscriminate arrest and imposition of outrageous penalties on trucks they forcefully hijack while on their way from Brigade to the Lagos ports. They allege that these penalties, which range from 200,000 and 400,000 naira, are paid into private accounts rather than government accounts.
Recent incident involving trucks released from Lily Pond Brigade, being a major brigade for Papa Port banned trucks, which the release of the said trucks was authoritatively directed by the Nigerian Ports Authority through the office of the Apapa Port Manager. Shockingly, all the trucks that were on the move following the directive of Nigeria Ports Authority were flagged down by members of the two committees and ordered to return to where they are coming from. And some of the trucks were forcefully arrested and slammed with their usual unregulated belts. In most cases, the trucks were being driven by them to their yard and later charged them to pay towing charges. Further to the above, we wish to bring to your esteemed attention the disheartening events of Thursday, 20th February 2025 at Dabiri-Erewa, during which the members of the committee, alongside a contingent of street urchins illegally acting at the committee's behest, attacked a group of haulage truck owners, drivers, and stakeholders who were in transit along the Apapa Port Road. This latest attack occurred during another bout of harassment, verbal and physical assault, and belligerent demands of outrageous among in penalties by members of these committee members.
The port manager, the managing director of MPA will not allow this 3 days ultimatum to come and nothing is being done. It's an appeal to them. If after 3 days nothing is done on this matter, I think there's what we call solidarity support that will come from Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria and the collaboration. I'm not sitting down here as President General of Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria. I'm equally sitting down here as Deputy President of Nigeria Labour Congress, that all the stakeholders within the transport business, we are raising our voice to let Lagos State government know that we are not joking on this matter. It's going to be a serious matter.
As the clock ticks to the expiration of this ultimatum on Wednesday, and the negative impact it will have on the nation's economy, it is imperative that the Nigerian Shippers Council, the Lagos State government, the Commissioner of Police, Port Authority Police Command, and all other concerned authorities look into the allegations against the Lagos State Committee on Port Access Sanity and find ways to resolve the contentious issues raised by the maritime workers to avert the huge economic losses that an indefinite strike presents. In Lagos, for News Central, Norma Obiaswala.
The trial of the former Kogi State Governor, Yaya Bello, resumed on Monday at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Bello faces a 19-count charge bordering on alleged fraud filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The counsel to the EFCC, who had initially informed the court of his intention to present 3 witnesses, was only able to provide 2 because the third witness could not appear in court. The court, however, adjourned proceedings to March the 6th and 7th, respectively, for a continuation of trial. For more on this story, Laboros Oshoma, a human rights lawyer, joins me now from Lagos. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. What should we expect from this trial?
I can't speak for EFCC, so I can't be running through what EFCC investigation is about. But we know that prosecution starts from investigation. As a lawyer, I know that prosecution starts from investigation. It is how a matter is investigated that will eventually determine how it will be prosecuted. And so we've seen cases where, you know, what is discussed in the public is different from what is presented in court. And I hope that this case will be different, because most times you hear, you know, humongous amounts are called, you know, in the public domain. And that's what people refer to as media trial. Humongous amounts are referred to, and issues are raised, but when the matter eventually gets to court, what you hear is entirely different from what was in the public domain, and I hope that this will not be one of such. And then also, another thing that the public would expect is accelerated hearing, because they say justice delayed is justice denied, but, you know, also, because even though we say here the windmill of justice grinds slowly but surely, but justice delayed certainly justice denied. So one would expect accelerated hearing in a matter, and also that what is presented in court is in tandem with what is presented in the court of public opinion. You know, right. So those are basically what to expect, or what the public would be expecting in the matter, and you know, there should be no sacred cows. And if at the end of the day the man is found wanting, then let the long arm of the law take its course. If the EFCC is unable to prove its case, then it's one of those cases where we shout so much in the media, and at the end of the day, we get to court. Nothing is presented.
Liberals, at the heart of this trial, of this case, is a statement of bank accounts, an account opening package for Mr. Bello's children's school. Remember, a couple of months back last year, there was just a lot of controversy around that. Do you think, and this is a bit hypothetical, do you think that the EFCC will be able to prove any of this in court? Because this is a major part of this trial.
I do not know what EFCC has investigated, but I also will not want to take what is discussed in the public, into account in as far as prosecution is concerned. Like I said, based on my experience, I've seen situations where what is presented in the public at the end of the day is different from what is presented in court. And if we were to go by what transpired in court today, what was presented in court today were allegations of properties that were bought and not even related to school fees. So allegations of property that were bought, and then in the two documents that were allegedly presented, all the properties, even Bello's name was not mentioned in the two, but so I have not heard about, maybe I want to presume that this might not be the school fees.
Liberals,
case,
I'm looking at Premium Times here. Premium Times is reporting that the FCC presented the statement of bank account about the school fees at the American International School in Abuja to court. But aside that, before I let you go, what are because we're going to be following this trial very closely, what are the potential implications of this trial for Yaya Bello's future as a politician and as a person?
In Nigeria, really, I would want to see a day where the EFCC would certainly, make so much noise about a politician and, establish a case before such politician in court. If that's the case, certainly for somebody like Yaya Bello, a young man, that might be the end of his political career. But otherwise, it might just also strengthen him, and he can allege that it's all witch hunting, and that despite all of the hues and cry about the issues that, in most cases, you hear that a no case submission is filed by the defense at the end of the day if the FCC is unable to link all of these allegations, the bank accounts and everything, directly to him. So, so I just hope that what we hear in the public is not different from what it's in the court of law.
Right. Liberal Soshoma, a human rights lawyer, thank you so much for speaking to us. We do appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And outside our shores now, the Trump administration has placed most employees of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, on administrative leave from midnight on Sunday and laid off hundreds more. In addition to some 4,200 staff who are being placed on leave, at least 1,600 employees have been fired. The move comes weeks after President Donald Trump's initial attempt to eliminate thousands of USAID employees was held up by a legal challenge. A federal judge temporarily halted the administration's plans to gut America's foreign aid agency, but ruled on Friday that the pause would not be permanent. Founded in 1961, USAID employed around 10,000 staff until the recent cost-cutting began. The notice to USAID employees on Sunday from the Office of the Administrator said that, quote, designated personnel responsible for critical functions or in leadership would be exempt from administrative leave. And it's time for some money talks with Adebola, who's here with the latest business news. Adebola, what do we have? I'm hearing stuff about the suspension of a 4% free on board tax?
Yes, Adesha, we're learning that the Nigerian Customs Service has reversed, the 4% additional charge on any item imported into the country. For details of that shortly.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, has suspended the 4% free on board charge on imports. NCS spokesperson Abdullahi Maiwada announced this in a statement on Monday in Abuja. Maiwada explained that all import declarations made during February 11, 2025 have now been suspended. Now, the charge is calculated based on the value of imported goods, including transportation expenses up to the ports of loading. Now, these announcements had been met with criticism from experts and stakeholders who argue that the move could worsen the economic situation, including inflation. Maiwada justified the cancellation on what he said was the necessity to ensure clarity, maintain consistency in customer operations, and prevent disruptions in the clearance process. Trading on the Nigerian equities market ended on a negative note on Monday today, February 24th, 2025. As for the Nigeria Exchange All-Share Index, it declined by 0.34%, that's minus 0.34%, and to end at a basis point of 108,126.97 basis point, and that's so it dipped in market capitalization at 67.38 trillion naira. And for the sectors, we have 5 sectors, in place there. We saw all of them, reporting being bearish, where there were negatives in all the categories for, all of the sectors. We have different sectors, including insurance. We have oil and gas. We have banking, insurance, oil and gas, consumer goods, as well as industrial goods. For the sectors, all of them recorded losses, with banking dipping at minus 1.44%. There were losses recorded for insurance at minus 0.86%. Oil and gas also saw a negative at minus 0.27%. And also consumer goods also saw a loss there at minus 0.15%, as well as industrial goods at minus 0.07%. So indeed, the market today was bearish. And that's a wrap on business news tonight.
And it's time for the latest in the world of sports with Tunde. Today, what we have?
Well, Africa is getting ready for the 2025 Africa Cup. Just how good is your backhand or your forehand, Alicia?
Very good. I play tennis.
Wonderful. We'll be telling about all that and much more after the break.
All right.
Update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello and welcome to Sports. Africa's Table Tennis Federation President Enita Oshodi has applauded the federation's effort in organizing the upcoming ITTF African Cup. Speaking at a press conference in Tunis ahead of the start of the 2025 ITTF African Cup, he thanked the Tunisian Table Tennis Federation for organizing the tournament, while also highlighting Africa's rising status in global table tennis. Meanwhile, former women's singles champion Dina Meshev has expressed her determination in reclaiming her title, stating her confidence is high ahead of the start of the event. The tournament, boasting a $25,000 prize pool, will feature Africa's top players, including Nigeria's defending men's singles champion, Quadri-Aruna.
Have this support from Tunisia, and hopefully we can now start to think bigger in Africa. We've done well over the last.
The tournament has something special about it. Like, even though, as you said, I've won it a couple of times, I'm still excited and motivated to get out my best, and I'm trying to fight for the title also.
Meanwhile, the draws for the ITTF Africa Cup in Tunisia have been made, with Nigeria's representatives now knowing their opponents. Men's singles defending champion Quadri-Aruna headlines Group 2 alongside Benin Republic's Abdelkader Salifu, Tunisia's Michal Sabhi. And in Group 4, Alhaji Motayo faces Algeria's Sami Kherouf, Cote d'Ivoire's Ben Moussa Dosso, and Zambia's Charles Banda, while Matthew Kuti, rising star, will battle Algeria's Mehdi Boulousa, Benin Republic's Monday Olabi, and Tunisia's Aboubakar Bourras in Group 5. In the women's singles, Fatima Bello will compete in Group 4 with Madagascar's Andrea Tahina Tina and Zambia Kunda Mubanga, while Aminat Fashola faces Ghana's Juanita Borte, Algeria's Haja Tami, and Tunisia's Michal Sabi in Group 6. Competition manager Adam Ashur has revealed that 15 countries are represented at the tournament and that the semi-finalists in the men's and women's singles will qualify for the ITTF World Cup in Macau in April. Now, Manchester United is set to make up to 200 staff redundant as part of ongoing financial restructuring. Now, this follows a previous wave of job losses last season, which saw around 250 employees depart. The decision comes shortly after Sir Jim Ratcliffe marked his first year as co-owner. United reported losses exceeding £300 million over the last 3 years, with revenue falling to £198.7 million in late 2024, down £225.8 million a year earlier. Additional cost-cutting measures, including relocating staff from Old Trafford to Carrington and reducing operations at their London office, will also be implemented. Free lunches at Old Trafford will also be discontinued, a move expected to save the club over £1 million annually. And finally, Mercedes have revealed its 2025 Formula One car ahead of pre-season testing in Bahrain, marking the start of a new chapter without Lewis Hamilton. The team digitally launched the W16 just days after showcasing its livery at the season's official event in London. With Hamilton moving to Ferrari, 18-year-old rookie Kimi Antonelli joins George Russell, while Valtteri Bottas returns as a reserve driver. After finishing fourth in last season's constructor standings, Mercedes aim to return to the title contention. Team principal Toto Wolff expects an intensely competitive season, while Russell is motivated to build on his strong 2024 campaign. Antonelli is set for his F1 debut as the season begins in Melbourne on the 16th of March. And that's all we have on sports. It's back to you, Sheila.
And it's a mix of good and bad news coming out from the world of entertainment tonight. And Sam Dandy joins me with the latest. Sam?
Well, like you said, there is good and bad. Let's start with the good. Shay Vibes, well, he dropped a surprise project that is killing it in of course, the music charts right now. But on the sad side, well, we're going to be saying goodbye and mourning the loss of, an icon in R&B music around the world. So I'll bring you all the details after this quick break.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Now, in the ever-buzzing world of entertainment, Shay Vibes has taken the world by storm with his surprise EP, Children of Africa, which quickly soared to the top of the charts. Within an hour of release, the project raked in about 128,000 Spotify streams, marking a strong debut. It also made history as the first Nigerian project of 2025 to achieve major global success, reaching number 7 on the US Apple Top 10, number 9 in the UK, and dominating Nigeria's charts. Now, with this achievement, Shay Vibes reaffirms his status in the music scene and that there's more to come since parting ways with Dapper Music after 2 years with the label that pushed him to his rise, of course, to commercial prominence. So that's exciting for fans of Shay Vibes. I listened to the project and I must say, super nice. Especially because I can't interpret a lot of the Yoruba, but the beats, the sound. You can? Oh my goodness.
Doubt that? I can.
Let's move from this one. Legendary pop and R&B singer Roberta Flack has passed away at the age of 88. Now known for iconic hits like The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face or Killing Me Softly with his song, Flack rose to fame in the early 70s and made history with back-to-back Grammy wins for Record of the Year. A classically trained pianist, she was discovered while performing in Washington, D.C., leading to a successful career blending jazz, soul, and pop. Now, a collaboration with Donny Mathoe produced timeless classics like Where Is the Love and The Closer I Get to You. Though her mainstream success Born in the late 70s, Flack remained an influential artist, earning 13 Grammy nominations throughout her career. Now, she continued recording into the 2000s with her final album, Let It Be Roberta, released in 2012. Now, Flack is survived by her son, musician Bernard Wright. I'm not going to lie, Killing Me Softly, everyone knows this one.
I was about to say, do you even know that one as a Gen Z? But I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be rude, but...
To be honest, Gen Z's...
Can you sing it? Killing me softly.
With his everyone can sing this one. I feel like
I want you to be the one to sing it. You see, that's good music. It's evergreen.
Well, hopefully we get what people sample of all these older songs, and the Gen Zs can enjoy them more with this sampling energy.
Sam, thank you.
That's much entertainment.
And that's the news tonight. But before we go, here's a reminder of our top stories. Nigerian Senate begins a 2-day public hearing on tax reform bills. Lucky Aiyedatiwa's sworn as governor of Ondo State pays tribute to former boss Rotimi Akeredolu, and Trump administration places thousands of USAID staff on leave as it fires 1,600 employees. And remember, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, AVO TV, and YouTube. We would like to thank you for watching. I am Adeshewa Josh. I'll see you around. Okay.